Giacomo Matteotti was an Italian socialist politician. On 30 May 1924, he openly spoke in the Italian parliament alleging the fascists committed fraud in the recently held elections, and denounced the violence they used to gain votes. 11 days later he was kidnapped and killed by fascists. Matteotti was born a son of a wealthy family in Fratta Polesine, province of Rovigo in Veneto. He graduated in law at the University of Bologna. An atheist and from early on an activist in the socialist movement and the Italian Socialist Party, he opposed Italy's entry into World War I. He was elected deputy 3 times, in 1919, 1921 and 1924. As a follower of Filippo Turati, Matteotti became the leader of the United Socialist Party in the Italian Chamber of Deputies after the scission of the Socialist Party. He openly spoke out against Fascism and Benito Mussolini, and for a time was leader of the opposition to the National Fascist Party. From 1921 he denounced fascist violence in a pamphlet titled Inchiesta, socialista, sulle gesta fascisti in Italia. He was murdered on 10 June 1924, after the publication of his book The Fascisti Exposed. A year of fascist domination, and 2 fierce and lengthy speeches in the Chamber of Deputies denouncing fascism. During a kidnap attempt, he was bundled into a car, and stabbed several times with a carpenter's file as he was struggling to escape. His corpse was found near Veneto, 20 miles from Rome, on 16 August 1924, after an extensive search. 5 men were arrested a few days after the kidnapping. Only 3 were convicted, and shortly after released under amnesty by King Victor Emmanuel III. 1. Filippo Panzeri escaped before the arrests of his accomplices. Before the trial against the murderers, the High Court of the Senate started a trial against General Emilio de Bono, commander of the fascist paramilitary groups Black Shirts, but he was discharged. After the Second World War, in 1947, the trial against Francisco Giunta, Cesare Diamini, Viola, Poveromo, Malacria, Filippelli, and Panzeri was reopened. Diamini, Viola, and Poveromo were sentenced to life imprisonment. In none of these 3 trials was evidence found of Mussolini's involvement. The involvement of Mussolini in the assassination is much debated. Historians suggest some different theories. The main biographer of Mussolini, Renzo de Felice, was convinced that the Deuce was not innocent. Even Aurelio Lepper and Emilio Gentile thought that Mussolini wanted the death of Matteotti. The former socialist and anti-fascist journalist Carlo Silvestri in 1924 was a harsh accuser of Mussolini. Later, when he joined Italian Social Republic, he affirmed that Mussolini showed him Matteotti case's papers, and eventually he changed his mind. Silvestri became a strong defender of Mussolini's innocence in Matteotti's murder, and suggested that the socialist was killed by a plot in order both to damage Mussolini's attempt to raise a leftist government and to cover some scandals in which the Crown was involved. De Felice argued that maybe Mussolini himself was a political victim of a plot, and almost surely he was damaged by the crisis that followed the murder. Many fascists left the party, and his government was about to collapse. Moreover, his secret attempt to bring socialists and populars into a new reformist government was ruined. John Gunther wrote in 1936 that most critics nowadays do not think that the Deuce directly ordered the assassination, but his moral responsibility is indisputable, perhaps with underlings believing they were carrying out Mussolini's desire, performing the kidnapping and murder on their own. Other historians, including Justin Pollard and Dennis Mack Smith, thought Mussolini was probably aware of the assassination plot, but that it was ordered and organized by someone else. Mauro Canali suggests that Mussolini probably did order the murder, as Matteotti uncovered and wanted to make public incriminating documents proving that Mussolini and his associates sold to Sinclair Oil exclusive rights to all Italian oil reserves.